Hey, yo, Dre, there's a one right there.
Yeah. Let's go. Hey, yo, you live now. Facts over feelings. We live now. Facts over feelings. We gonna give people enough time to join the stream. We about to talk about something real, man. Let's go. Yeah. I've been working on this for a little bit. It's gonna get better. Let's go. Let's go. Told y'all we gonna get better. I changed a little bit. I changed a little stuff around for real. Yeah. You can tell the difference. You can tell the difference for real. Yeah. 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 Yeah, I like that. Take a lot to get acclimated to equipment and all that stuff. I'm still learning, I'm still figuring this stuff out, but we still live for real. Appreciate y'all for watching the live. We about to talk about something real important for real. All right. So the whole thing about tonight is talking about should white people be able to speak on black issues, and should black people be able to speak on white issues as well? The reason why I'm asking this is because we have an ultra divider in a company, in the country, and a lot of people don't want to face the reality of the times that we in for real. Like, it's just terrible the way. It's just terrible the way that we carry and stuff, and we wonder why we got so many issues. And I'm like, all right, so this is why I gotta go live, because if ain't nobody gonna say it for real, I gotta say it for real. Now, I've already been doing research. I've done plenty enough research to know what I'm talking about. All right, so anyway, Facts Over Feelings live for real. This is where we look at the facts, we put the facts over the feelings, and we discuss that over top of what we feel, because a lot of times what we feel tends to change our perceptions, and our perceptions tend to shape our reality and change our reality and things of that nature. So without further ado, I'm your host for real. It's Facts Over Feelings live. Let's get it. So look, now check this out. All right, so one thing about today's society is we gotta realize is that I saw black people, right? I've seen black people go onto white platforms and they express how they feel about white people and things of that nature. I've seen it numerous times. I've seen Minister Louis Farrakhan go in front of the Phil Donahue show in 1985 and was talking about white people issues, but it seemed like white people don't seem to like to talk about race as much, and I'll prove that to you as well too today. White people don't like to talk about race. White people don't like to face racism and stuff like that. And I think a lot of that too is on this cancel culture and on the threat that, you know, if they were to speak exactly how they feel, then they would be canceled, although everybody has prejudices. So now, I'm glad I said that. So look, everybody has prejudices. And this is my main point for tonight. Everybody has prejudices, but everybody can't be racist. Now, if you don't agree with me, then you don't agree with me. Type it in the chat, whatever you gotta do. I mean, people don't want to talk now, but you'll talk later. when you hear what has to be said. So um everybody has prejudices and stuff like that. Like for instance, we were talking about interracial dating and stuff like that. That was my first one on YouTube and Facebook. But this one is just on Facebook, and I'll add this one to YouTube later. But um it goes along the lines with that. It's a big racial divide. It's always been a racial divide, and it's something that we seem to not address. I don't know what it is. It seems like it's taboo or something. We don't want to discuss that because we feel like we're going to step on toes and all of that stuff. But I guess we here to step on toes tonight. But that's not the main goal. The main goal is to talk about the conflict without controversy. Talk about the controversy without conflict. But as I digress, so I got a couple of videos we're gonna get into, and it's gonna be hard to explain everything, and it may need a few segments. I'll talk about it as much as I can on tonight, and if we get enough input or whatever, maybe I'll do another show where we expand on the topic. But the first thing I wanted to do was continue on what I was saying about the prejudices. Everybody has their own prejudices. So the difference between prejudices and racism is starkly different. See, they teach us dictionary definition like everybody can be racist. Everybody can't be freaking racist. That's a fact. Racist is systemic. Racism, excuse me, is systemic. The only people that have a system put in place to make other races inferior is white people. So white people can only be racist. Let me get that out the way right now. But everybody has prejudices. And so I think that when we start to address these prejudices as people, right, we will grow from there, knowing that we all have prejudices. Most of the time people tend to prefer their own people as their preference. That's why I was talking about interracial dating. Like I said, that live didn't go so well, but trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. And it's going to be discussed. So, everybody has prejudices. We prefer some things over another just because we black, just because you white or you Italian. There's some stuff that you're going to prefer and have preference over and be prejudiced about because you come from that background. These are your people. You were raised that way. So your prejudices also have bias. So the difference between that and racism is that there are adverse effects of racism that we don't have as black people. There's no such thing as a black person being racist, because if we don't like a white person, it's not stopping them from getting nothing. If they don't like us, you get shot down on the street, don't get loans. It's stuff that happened to us that don't happen to them when we don't like them. And everybody don't like they have those prejudices. So when we don't address them as people, we bleeding out from wounds that we refuse to address. So now we just bleeding out because we don't even know where we bleeding from. We can't even address it. So we can't talk about racism because nobody's open enough on the table to talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So all right, now that I said that, I got into a little rant. Let me see if I can share the screen. Like and share the stream. Like and share the stream. I appreciate everybody for watching. Everybody who will watch. We will grow. I'm not asking for anybody's participation, but it'll be lovely. Yet and still to have some participation from the crowd. It helps you grow. You know what I'm saying? So look, let me share this, and we're gonna talk about this.
Racism, even as the national dialogue about race intensifies. When it comes to applying for a job, for example, one poll said 67% of white Americans believe black applicants have the very same chances. Only 30% of black adults agree with that statement. The results of that disconnect and many others is a crisis of inequality that many white Americans still struggle to describe.
Amid our national conversation about racism, we decided to start a few local ones.
We're doing a big story about race in America.
On the streets of Stamford, Connecticut, we asked white Americans some basic questions.
What were you taught about how to treat people of a different race?
I don't remember conversations at home about race.
Hold on. hold on. So they don't remember conversations about race. Now we're looking at this subjectively. And look, they asking people these questions. So I've already done the research. That's what I'm saying. I got a lot of research. I got a lot of notes. I would appreciate if people like and share, because this information, you know what I'm saying, it take time to get this information, to compile this information. But look, that colorblind, that's what she's getting into. That white people are taught they're colorblind.
You look at the person, not the color of their skin.
And sometimes fielded questions of our own.
Do you think you've benefited by being white in America?
Of course. Do you?
Yeah, I do.
There's two sides to every story.
Now, see, that's what we call racism. Did you miss that? So in case you missed that, he said, do you think you benefit from being white in America? That would be AKA white privilege. And the guy straight up said, yes, he does. Do you? Yes, he does. He does. Yes. So with all of that being said, sorry about that, but with all that being said, now we have the truth coming out. Let's look further into this.
We then showed clips of our interactions to Boston University professor Ibram X. Kendi. The CBS News contributor and author of the bestseller How to Be an Anti-Racist helped us pick out patterns.
How do you define racism?
When one person feels that they're better than another person.
What is a racist then?
A racist is someone being discriminatory against somebody else's race.
All right, now watch this. I just literally said this earlier in the stream. Now I told you that according to the definition of racism and what a racist is, they make that fit everybody. Like anybody, everybody can be a racist, and it's not freaking true. That's the truth. We talking about facts over feelings. Let's get the facts straight. Like you already heard from Mr. White Man, he said, do you benefit from being white in America? He said, yeah. But now when you ask them what is a racist, oh, watch how they shake up. Watch how they shake up.
Were you surprised by those answers?
Oh, not in the least bit. Americans are taught that a racist is an evil, horrible, bad person, that it's in someone's bones, that someone literally is a racist. That's their identity. And so that's not me. I'm a good person.
Sometimes.
All right, so I'm sorry to keep pausing so much. But like I said, this is important to talk about. So now what he's saying, and this is why it's important to use words. He's saying that racism isn't bad. And I'm not saying that he's wrong about what he's saying. I would get totally specific with the words. And this is why we lost as a people. This is why we lost as a people when it comes to really knowing things. So like, man, I hate to get all into it, but I'm gonna just get into it for real, because this is what we talking about. We talking about communication. We talking about white and black. There's a divide, and see what happens when you have communication. Then you can start to build from there. You can start to build from proper communication. But if you're trying to build something and there's no communication, there's only corruption. Nothing's going to get done. Nothing's going to get built. But why am I saying that? Because we're talking about the definition of racism. What is a racist? That's what they're asking them. What is a racist? What is a racist? Now, when you look at other definitions, and let's go over the English language a little bit. I'm not a scholar in English by far, but I know English because that's my only language. So you have a gymnast, which means these people are professionals at gymnastics, or they are professionals at gymnastics. You have, when I say gymnast, you have a linguist, someone who's professional at language. You have a pianist, someone who is a professional at playing a piano. Right? But a racist means somebody who just discriminates against somebody else. Hell no. That's not what it means. If anything, based on those definitions I just gave, it would be someone who is professional at race and don't know other race but one use race as a profession. Race is only a profession to one specific group of people, and that's European white people. Don't nobody else carry race like a profession on this earth. Now, if you got a problem with what I said, like I said, tune in, say something. Now, I'm gonna show you why I'm saying this and why I dispute stuff all the time. Y'all be thinking that I'll just be talking out the side of my neck. So watch this, and it will make sense. And remember, I'm asking you the definition of racism, and this they couldn't even tell you. They couldn't even tell you in that video. So watch this. Hold on. Let me do this. Let me share this screen right here. Let me stop sharing that one really quickly. I'm gonna go back. Let me stop sharing that screen quickly. All right. And we're gonna go back here, and what we're gonna do is this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to present, right? I'm gonna share my screen. Give me 1 second. Like I said, it's gonna get better as we go along. To the next stream is gonna get better as we go along. So that's what I'm saying. They don't know the definition of races. And then when we do have definitions of races, they don't make sense. And this is why stuff don't make sense. This is why I even question stuff like the definitions and stuff like that, because it's important, because in order to communicate, communication consists upon some type of language. Now, the language that we're particularly speaking here is English. So English is contingent upon words, and words are contingent upon definitions, and definitions and stuff like that are contingent upon the alphabet, which is widely, most languages, even sign languages and stuff like that, they even have an alphabet as well. But as I digress, now this is just a Google site. I'm just asking Google, what is the definition of a fruit, right? Now, the first thing it says is the sweet and fleshly product of a tree or other plant that contains seed and can be eaten as food. Now, let's take this definition and let's break this down. The sweet and fleshly. Whoa. See, look, we're going to backtrack. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do definition of definition. See, this is what we do. That's why I said facts over feelings, right? So we're going to do the definition of a definition, right? It says the definition of a definition is to state or describe exactly the nature, scope, or meaning of. To describe exactly the nature, right? That's what it means to define something. And then the other secondary definition is to mark out boundaries or limits, which is interesting because that's exactly what definitions do. They create boundaries. And that's why communication is important, because the more you communicate, the more you can effectively know what boundaries to cross and what boundaries not to cross. So this is why we're talking, and all this stuff going to lead into racism and racist. Because look, we had to stop here because I got to talk about this. We got to talk about this because don't nobody never question this. I don't never see nobody say this. But look now, like when we look at these definitions that they give us, they say, now remember, the definition of a definition is to state the exact meaning of something, especially the exact nature. We just read it, right? Now, the definition of fruit, the sweet and fresh and fleshly product of a tree or other plant that contains seed and can be eaten as food. Now, on the surface level, you may not see a problem with this, but me being a thinker, I'm like, okay, what are they describing when they're writing this definition? And most likely this definition came from like the 19th century or something, you know what I'm saying? Like 1830 or whenever, Webster's dictionary, whatever, right? So this is only describing one fruit. If you would look at this definition again, the sweet and fleshly product of a tree or other plant that contains seed and can be eaten as food, you would look at that definition, and the first thing that most people would think of, because I can't really ask right now, Gotta get the streamers up. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get the streamers up, but I can't really ask right now. But look, I'm gonna just give you the information. This is describing an apple, the sweet and fleshly product of a tree and all this. I'm gonna tell you right now, this definition, when they came up with this definition, they was defining an apple, but not all apple. Apple is not the only fruit. And then on top of that, the first thing it says is the sweet. Not even all apples are sweet. Some apples are bitter, like the green apple. It's bitter. It's not sweet. So not even all fruits are sweet. Not all fruits contain flesh. Not all fruit are the product of a tree. Some come from a vine. Some come from all that other stuff. Not all fruit contains seed. Some fruit, the seed, some fruits are the seed itself is the fruit, and you plant it back into the ground and stuff like that. This doesn't describe all fruits. It doesn't exactly state the nature of fruits. And that's why people say, oh, well, tomato is a fruit. But most people think it's a vegetable. And you wonder why we got problems. And you wonder why they have problems defining racism, which is why I'm trying to define racism for you and for America, because they don't do this. They don't do it. They don't do it. I caught myself. I was about to say it because it's something that needs to be said. It's something that needs to be said. It's something that needs to be talked about. But anyway, as I digress, let me go back to see if it can. Yeah, let me go back to that YouTube, and we're gonna finish watching that. And I'm gonna try not to pause it so much as well too. I'm gonna try not to pause it so much as well too. It was this one. Okay, I got some tabs running here, so bear with me. All right, let's continue.
Is the unjust treatment of people of a different color, national origin, that is either from face-to-face interaction, but also more importantly institutionalized. And
Yet things could quickly grow uncomfortable.
you define racism the way you did. Do you fit in that definition in any way? I'm not.
You see that?
Hold those views and
What? You see that? Why did he struggle? Why did he struggle? Because he can't say he racist. I'm gonna just tell you, all white people racist. What's her name? Jane Elliott proved it. She proved it. She said, all you white folk in here, you want to be treated like black folk in America? Raise your daggone hand. Who raised their hand? Nobody. Nobody. So this is why we got to talk about that, because now when we know that we bleeding now from a certain place, now we can address those wounds. Now that we know that black people can't be racist, white people can be racist, but all people have prejudices. Now that we know that, we can effectively problem solve a lot of situations, a lot of racial situations. We say, no, white man, when you doing this, this is prejudice. No, that's prejudice. I mean, you can't help it. It's natural. It's natural. We know that it is there, but these are one of those things. You're gonna have to step down off of this one, and we're gonna have to check you. But since we got these people running around here like they ain't racist and black people can be racist and all that shit, don't nobody even understand racism no more. How it even exists. Racism is systemic. And if racism if systemic oppression of what they deem as not minority people don't exist no more, then how come there is inequality in almost every aspect of life, even the quality of life, from finances to families, everything. So no, we're not in chains and locked in chains and as slaves and all that stuff no more. They took them chains off, man. They made you debts to this capitalist system and all of this stuff. Let's continue. Try not to pause it so much.
Most people struggle to explain racial inequality.
So the typical black family in America has much less money than the typical white family. How do you?
I just said that.
Some of it is opportunity. Some of it,
i.e., you lazy.
is-
Some of it is opportunity, i.e., you lazy. You don't get up off your black, you know what, and go to work, which is a lie. Which is a lie. Black people work. Black people actually built this country. This country, bankers, all of them was actually built off of black backs of slaves.
what is some of it's your drive, some of it's the way you're brought up.
But there's a lot of black people that don't get to where they can get. I don't know what to say about, intelligence wise. If they're not as intelligent as white people, I mean, there are a lot.
Wow, yo. Shoot. Do you see that? Come on, man. I ain't come up with this out of nowhere neither. I'm not doing this for no reason. And I'm gonna tell you why really I made this stream too, because there's an issue. I don't know if people know about what like Just Pearly things and brother Jason Black and you got O'Shea D Jackson, you got all them people or whatever. Everybody that know about it, they basically know about it. But it's like, okay, can white people speak on black issues? People always with that cancel culture and stuff like that. People be in their feelings. Like, no, just like our black selves be talking about white people. When white people talk about black people, keep that same energy, nigga. And people dumb anyway. Like, if this is your opposition and your opposition is telling you something about what they don't like, why wouldn't you listen? Why wouldn't you sit back and take notes? You would try to stop them from telling you and putting it out there in your face so you can see what's going on, what's real, like what they doing here. You want to cancel that though. You want to fire her from work because she don't think black people are as smart. Come on now, that's that cancel culture stuff. It gotta stop. It gotta stop. People are entitled to their own opinions, and this how dumb people is. You say this is America. This is America. The first goddamn amendment, whatever the Constitution, whatever y'all believe in. The First Amendment say freedom of speech.
A lot that are very intelligent.
And almost no one used the term racism.
I'm confused about when we use the word racism.
The term, you're uncomfortable with the term.
In some ways, I am. Yeah.
I think what's striking is racist has almost become like the N-word. It's like the R-word, which so many Americans think in and of itself, it's a bad word to say, when indeed it's a descriptive term.
It's a term, Kendi says, that could be applied to just about anyone at times. People can have a racist thought, for example.
But that doesn't mean they are racist.
Yeah, a racist isn't an identity. It is not who a person is. It's what a person is being. And I think we have to recognize.
Thank you. And that's why I said we have to use these words correctly, because these are thoughts, these are prejudices, and it's absolutely natural. That's the thing that we don't get. It's natural for black people to say, oh, yeah. No, I ain't going to the white neighborhood. No, we ain't doing all. No. What? You think we stereotyping y'all? Or do you think that it's for no reason? But you can't say it. You can't say it while you on TV or no, I ain't messing. No, whatever. I'm going to say what I got to say. I'm going to say exactly what I got to say. Y'all niggas gonna have to be mad because I don't have control over y'all feelings. I don't care if you white, black, yellow, brown, or blue. It don't even matter. The truth is the truth. People be butthurt over the truth and people's opinions. So what is a personal opinion? Because now people don't agree with your personal opinions, people, this American cancel culture crap is crazy. It's like you can't even disagree. That's what you call pontificating. That's what you call indoctrination. When you can't question these people, when you can't question them and ask the fundamental questions that something is wrong. They're hiding something. They're pontificating. They're indoctrinating. That's exactly what they're doing.
Recognize that people hold both racist and anti-racist ideas, and people are deeply contradictory.
And in this moment of national reflection, we did find some Americans trying to iron out those contradictions in society and in themselves.
I do believe in the systemic racism that we have in America. So as a white person, I would say, of course, I probably do play a part in that racism.
So, and I mean this in the kind
Thank you. Did you hear that? Pure honesty, just like that white man earlier. That was when they said, "Look, do you think that you benefit by being a white man in this country?" He said, "Yeah." Didn't even give it a second thought. Yeah, don't you? And the dude thought about it. He was just like, "Well, yeah, I do too. Yeah, you do. That's racism. Duh." That's the stuff that black people can't be. I'm trying not to go all off the rails because I can get excited about this too. But let's go. I appreciate her for being honest. I mean, like, this is the stuff we need: genuality, genuine people, because this is how you begin to heal. When you know where you're bleeding from, when you know what the problem is, you can begin to start fixing it. But until then, you're just in denial, which they say is the first stage. But no, you're in denial, you're delusion, you're dumb, and you're lost.
possible way, I'm right now talking to a racist.
Technically. Although, right, I would never just say I'm racist and I hate people based on the color of their skin. Of course, I would not want to do that.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Who is this lady? And I'm pretty sure, she being honest, I'm pretty sure she probably, like, you know what I'm saying? She wouldn't try to, systemically oppress black people, whatever, just because they black. You could tell she got genuine intention and stuff like that. It's really heartwarming to know that there's people out here that are that brutally honest like a child, because this is what the everybody else in the world is feeding into the delusion. Everybody else in the world, they're gonna feed into the delusion. They're gonna sit there like everything cool when it's not. Everything is not cool. I don't know why we do that. Like, even as children, when we was in school and people would, the class clown and all that stuff, everybody kiki ha ha ha, knowing that people's education is being ruined and a whole lot of things. People probably being bullied and all that stuff. But we kiki ha ha. We have been doing this for a while. Sit back, laughing and joking like everything is fine with people who clearly got a problem. But we too afraid to step on their toes and crush their feelings that we choose not to tell them the truth. That is a lie. I don't care what nobody told you. The lie ain't just not telling the truth. The lie is with intent to deceive. When you have any intent of deception, you lied. And you could tell the truth and still lie because you deceive.
But I also think it's misleading when people say, I don't see color. You have to see color. You have to respect the differences. You have to understand cultures in order to grow out of the racism.
Sorry about that.
That you've been taught.
So I think there's a lot there, guys.
Yes,
there is. One thing that leaps out to me is just that,
Yeah, for the sake of time, though, I like that. I appreciate her for sharing that and everything, and that was awesome. But for the sake of time, what we're gonna do is we're gonna stop sharing that screen, right? We're back out of that one. And then, man, when y'all see this stream again, y'all better like and share this, y'all. I'm not playing, man. This is some good information, man. I'll be fooling around. I ain't fooling around. Facebook don't show me love. I'm going right to YouTube. Y'all niggas gonna be trying to ride the wave once a nigga get going. I'm not doing it. Y'all niggas don't support. I'm doing this for me. I'm not even doing this for y'all. I'm doing this for me. Because I was given the task of telling the people like it is, because don't nobody want to do it. So I'm making sure the blood ain't on my hands. Warning my people. Once I did that, my job done. So, all right, we sharing the screen. Let's go with this.
Obviously, usually in an episode about race, focusing on black issues, you'd want to connect with a Cornel West, a Ta-Nehisi Coates, a Dave Matthews, experts in the field. But I'm going to take Toni Morrison's advice on this. It's time for white people to talk and figure some things out. So tonight I'm speaking to, honestly, as white a panelist I think I could find. I have an Andrew, a Lisa, and a Chip. This panel is bone. It is alabaster. To my left is Chip Gallagher. He's a professor of sociology at LaSalle University. He researches social inequality and race. Lisa Bond, the resident white woman for Race to Dinner, a group that is trying to have better conversations about race in America. And joining remotely, longtime author and columnist Andrew Sullivan, editor of the Weekly Dish. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right, he got an all-white cast.
Here's what
all
I
white
think
cast.
holds back our race conversation in America. I think at its core, I think white people put blame on black people for the position that they are in, and then believe that white people will lose something in order for black people to gain it. And that's what creates that resentment and difficulty to overcome. And I'll start with Chip, because Chip.
Charles, yeah.
That doesn't help.
No, it doesn't help. Yeah, okay. A significant amount of white people in the United States of America see race relations through a colorblind lens. And I don't mean that whites don't see race. They see someone that's black or Asian. But they don't in any way attach any meaning to the color in affecting life chances. And what that fundamentally means is that race doesn't matter in getting ahead. It just doesn't matter.
They believe that we are in a race neutral environment.
The playing field is
All
level.
right, so now you hearing from the white people themselves. So you know I ain't making this up from nowhere. And I've already done the research. Like I said, I have, it's facts over feelings. This is what I do. So he's saying that white people have a consensus, either subliminally or conscious, thought that there's a equal playing level, a level playing field out here for white people and the rest of the minorities, more in specific black people. So he's saying that that's what they believe, that there is a playing level field. Me and you ain't no different.
And if you make it or you don't,
it's a meritocracy.
It's a meritocracy. And it's a narrative also that does a lot of things. It makes white privilege invisible. And it also makes whites feel that whatever they did, whatever successes they had nothing to do with what happened 50, 100, 200 years ago.
But you have to look at it as it is difficult.
So he's saying that white people think that, okay, like I said, because they think that they don't have slaves now. Like I said, I didn't make this up. You hearing this come from white people, from white men at that. They are saying that they believe that now that they don't own slaves and all of that stuff, white privilege and white supremacy doesn't exist, because that stuff was 50, 100, 200 years ago. It's not the same time, as if they don't benefit today from what happened in yesteryears.
Well, I can see how people would get defensive about, I didn't have slaves. I have not actively.
And see, he said it. I didn't have slaves. I didn't have slaves. See, I told you. I'm not just talking out the side of my neck. I'm not gonna keep telling people that I don't just talk out the side of my neck. It's facts over feelings. I've been researching the facts. Give me 1 second. Let me make this text message. We can continue to listen.
I'm a part of a system that was built through racism, but my life is hard, and I work hard, and I don't get ahead. So how does privilege factor into it to me? Now, you try and get these conversations going.
Where I come from is that this system of white supremacy has done such a good job of teaching us as white people that racism is bad. And when we talk about racism, we're talking about your character flaw. If we
didn't I just say that? So look, like I'm saying, this is why it's important to talk about this stuff, because yet and still, while we keep saying racism and all that stuff, and I don't like how to use racism, I would rather use the word prejudice there. And see how they keep doing that? They use the word racism, just like how I showed you about fruit. And we should go ahead and look at the definition of racism. Let's just go ahead and do it, since let's go ahead and let's do the definition of a racist. with the IS, like I was saying. Let's look at the definition of a racist. Let's do this. Give me 1 second here. Let's do this. So, like I said, this is my second time. It's going to get better. It will get better. All right, so let's go to this Chrome tab. And voila. So, the definition of racist is it's an adjective. So racist is not a noun. Well, in the secondary, it is a noun, but it's primarily an adjective. It's used to characterize. It's characterized by or showing prejudice, discrimination, antagonism against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized. So they saying typically a racist is a white person, but it don't gotta be a white person. That's what it's saying. That's exactly what it's saying. It's characterized by showing prejudice and discrimination. Remember, I was telling you already that we all have prejudices. We all have biases. And until we acknowledge that, we're gonna continue to have these problems between black and white because we can't check each other, because we can't acknowledge where the bias, where's the discrimination, where's the prejudice, and where's the racism. We can't know. All of it sound the same. All of it's the same. That's why these white people don't know the definition. But black people definitely know what racism is. I tell you that. We know what racism is. We live racism. And we don't do that shit to y'all. Excuse my language. We ain't never did that to y'all. I'm trying not to get overworked. But yet and still, let's keep it going. So let me go back over to the YouTube. Like I said, I'm gonna get better with this live stuff. I'm gonna definitely get better. Let's go.
And I think I'm a nice person. And I know that I am racist. And I know that I'm racist because I, every single day, uphold the systems and the structures of racism. And if we don't start having a conversation about that and about the ways that we are complicit every day, daily, if we don't talk about it, then we are never going to see movement.
And I just said that. And so look, and she gladly, reluctantly, maybe not gladly, maybe she was reluctantly saying it, but she told you that she's a racist, just like the other white lady, just like the other white man who told you that, yeah, I got white privilege and I benefit of white privilege, don't you? So that's not one person, that's not two person, that's three white people now. We don't see a pattern here. So it's not like I'm just talking out the side of my neck. We got established, right? This is an all white panel, right? This is not. I know I'm black, but these are all white people talking about it.
Andrew, do you think because it always gets framed on that moral level, right? Does the moral qualifying of it make resentment the natural outcome of that?
I think one of the issues is that it's very hard to agree with some of the very premises that are being expressed tonight. As if everything is already settled. We know this country is, for example, a white supremacy. Well, I don't believe that. I think it's possibly the most absurd hyperbole I've ever heard. I'm an immigrant, so I have a slightly different view of this. I can tell you, America in 2022 is the most multiracial, multicultural, tolerant, diverse melting pot that has ever existed on planet Earth. And
now, hold on. Let me say this though. This guy all over the place. But look, I agree with some things, very few things that he's saying. Particularly All right, I'll just tell you some things. Damn sure not everything. Not even most.
On earth even like it. That's why 86% of our immigrants are non-white.
Facts. Of course, I agree with facts.
Let me ask you a question, though, Andrew, because
this country.
I think you bring up an interesting point, and we might be getting hung up on semantics. So the fact that you're an immigrant speaks volumes. It means
Right. And he just brought up that stat. Now, remember, he's a white guy, but 86%. So I guess he's the minority in this case when you're talking about immigrants, because most immigrants are non-white.
you chose to come here. But America didn't start that way for black people. They didn't immigrate here. They were living somewhere else, and they were kidnapped and raped and murdered
Fire
and
that ass
taken
up.
here. And so for you to just say this is a magnificent place that doesn't have racism is actually, I think, more of a foundational lie than anything else.
Fire him up.
I didn't say that. I did not say that.
You said
I
that
am not
it's the
saying
most
that
hyperbole
racism
and
doesn't
that-
exist. I said the term white supremacy is an absurd hyperbole. For most people, that means the KKK. It means no rights for minorities. And
Okay,
this has
then
been
let's
used
define the term.
simply to avoid an argument.
So let's take it.
I'm not on pause it like that, but it was man, there's several points. It's actually another video I want to get into it. So yeah, I might make a second part of this. And I'll probably go live on YouTube instead of Facebook. So definitely follow. I mean, if you can't support like with the Cash App and all that stuff, cool. I would like people to support, but if you can though, like, share, and follow. Even if you don't like the content, you want to hate watch the content, whatever, you disagree, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But this is the platform where we talk about it. We talk about controversy without conflict. We can be respectful in conversation, because what we're doing is bringing facts to the table, and we're putting our feelings to the side. So if it's facts over feelings, we are definitely putting feelings to the side to discuss the facts of the situation, which is why I'm trying to refrain from getting loud and doing all that stuff. And I'm going to try not to, because for the sake of time, so we can keep it going, try not to pause this video so much. It's like 20 minutes long.
Take a step back and let's define what we mean by white supremacy. When you say white supremacy, how are you defining it for this conversation?
When I talk about white supremacy and when I talk about racism, I'm talking about power and privilege, the power and privilege that we hold as white people in society, the way in which our structures, our institutions, our systems, how everything was designed with white people in mind, and only white people in mind. If you think about who is white in society, how it has morphed.
Oh, dude, I'm a Jew. I was grandfathered in like 50 years ago.
Right.
Here's what they did. Brown people started coming. They're like, we're going to need some Jews. And so they brought us in.
Absolutely.
It expands.
But it does that to hold up the pillars of the systems that are in place.
But you think it's purposeful?
It's absolutely purposeful.
Andrew, would your argument be that you don't believe that that's purposeful or that it doesn't exist?
I don't believe it exists.
Okay.
I don't know what these systems are.
Okay, so
give me one system.
All right, redlining neighborhoods.
Capitalism?
No, redlining neighborhoods.
That was a state-enforced thing from Jim Crow, which is the one point at which I think absolutely is true.
So you just said it doesn't exist except for that.
No.
Yeah.
No, I said white supremacy doesn't exist.
But so when the New Deal,
See, that's what I told you though. And that's what I've been telling y'all. This whole thing about racism and all that other stuff, this whole thing, what happens when you create an illusion like everybody can be racist, and that's something that is applicable across all gender lines. Not gender lines, but across all ethnicities. Then you have these white people who are clearly lost at how this country was even formed and what's been happening since the inception of America. And they don't think white supremacy and systemic racism or systematic oppression of people that they deem races that they deem inferior. And that's what it creates. Creates people just like that think white supremacy is over. But nonetheless, I did agree with some of the things he had to say, especially when he brought up the stat about the 86%. You cannot dispute that. Let's keep going.
was passed, right? When the New Deal was passed, Black people were explicitly not allowed to have those loans. When the Homestead Act allowed white people to get an enormous wealth of land and be able to farm it, Black people did not have access to that. When slaves were freed, when Social Security came, Black people, when the GI Bill, Black people were not. So when you say to me, I don't get how this exists, I'm just having trouble figuring out, like, I mean, you're a bright guy. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Honestly, like, I don't know. So, Chip, you jump in. And I don't mean to attack you. I'm just confused.
I ain't gonna lie, it's real good to hear white people talk like this, though, for real. I don't care. You feel what I'm saying? They had a platform able to see it, because I guess a lot of times they have these conversations and we not able to see this as Black people. And see, the thing about Black people is we speak on them. We speak on them open and freely. They speak about us behind closed doors.
First off, the false analogy is this: equating 250 years of slavery and then 100 years of Jim Crow with the immigrant experiences of white Europeans from 1870 to 1924. I grew up in an Italian Jewish neighborhood in Philadelphia, working class, but you know how these folks made it? They got jobs in the government, civil jobs, cops, union jobs. These were all off limits. If you were brown or Black, forget it. Here's the real deal about everything, is that whites came to believe that everything good, the jobs, the land, the suburbs, it was theirs. And when Blacks try to encroach, that's when you have the pushback. That's when you have riots about busing. That's when you have terrorism. So I don't know, I get Andrew, I know Andrew's history, but like, I don't even remotely understand what he's saying about American history, because it is not in any way, people that have studied it, this is nothing like what he's talking about.
No one is denying this awful history, nor is anyone denying.
Great. So let's talk productively about what we do about it. I think the conversation is then this: we have an awful history. Its remnants are still felt today.
We also have a great history, John.
Say it again.
We also have a great history.
Yeah.
But I think you're minimizing.
I'm gonna let them have it.
You're suggesting that because
I think by calling today white supremacy, you are minimizing actual white supremacy. You have an incredible diversity. To condemn all American history as racist.
I disagree.
So he's basically saying they're not as racist as they were when we were slaves. But you are. Black man still like 3, 4, 5, 6 times more likely to be incarcerated and all this stuff. They got prison pipeline. Niggas are still slaves, and slavery is still legal. It's just that you are a slave when you become state property and all that stuff. When you commit a crime, you become a legal slave. But until you commit a crime, you can't legally be a slave. So slavery never was abolished. Facts again.
I agree that they're generalizing all white people. The systems that were racist that were put in place. Yes. The systems that were put in place.
I'd like you to explain exactly what they are.
Well, I thought I explained it earlier about the GI Bill and about the New Deal.
That's one thing. I want to know about these systems.
I just explained it. Housing.
That's food. One, and I agree that.
Andrew, you're not living on the same fucking planet we are. Honestly. I really don't think you are.
I think you are not living. I think you are not living in the planet most Americans are, which is why this kind of extremism, this anti-white extremism, is losing popular support, is creating a backlash, is going to elect Republicans and undo a lot of the good you think you're doing.
This is what happens when you don't talk about it. This is what happens when white people don't talk about it, is you have racist dog whistle tropes like this that actually perpetuate and perpetuate and perpetuate. So I did not come on this show to sit here and argue with another white man. That's one of the reasons that we don't even engage with white men at Race to Dinner.
Wow. Wow. I ain't gonna speak on that either, because it ain't my place.
To do something about racism, you had 400 years.
What? Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
So
if the white man wanted to do something about racism, he had 400 years to do it. It's not the fact that they can do it's natural. What's not natural is that they had a whole system set in place that was predicated off of the backs of slaves and people that they deemed inferior and all of that other stuff when we in fact bleed the same blood. So like I said, we all have prejudices, but we all can't be racist because we don't control this stuff, man. We don't control none of this stuff. And if we did, I don't think we would do that to them either. Anyway, let's keep going.
No,
8 years old.
I'm shutting you down right now.
I am not responsible for anyone
the point
before me.
is, I'm so tired of just engaging in this conversation and this deep hurt that Andrew has about talking about racism. And Chip, God bless you, but I'm gonna put everybody in the thing. All of us white people do this. I don't care if we say we're abolitionists. I don't care if we say we're progressive. I don't care if we're literally members of the KKK. Every single white person upholds these systems and structures of white supremacy. And we have got to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, ma'am.
If I could finger snap, I would finger snap right now. Let's remove it then from the
calling me a racist, John.
You've been doing a pretty good job with it yourself there. So
they just floored Joe for real.
You're taking words out of context and blowing them out of proportion so that you don't have to deal with having to figure out a way to deconstruct the barriers that were put in place for Black people in this country and give them a better chance.
Your opening segment
was brilliant. Brilliant. Yes.
Biggest reductionist, one-sided,
yes. Yes.
Completely biased position.
Yes.
Now that I would probably have to agree with him on because they all clearly are on the other side. They would need somebody like Just Pearly Things had brought on that Nick Fuentes guy, white nationalist, and another one I guess to even it up. And I've been, so uneven, but it's his show, so and he got an all white panel, so but like I said, I think I agree with the guy that said that he don't believe in white supremacy anymore on that particular thing. They maybe outnumbered him, and so maybe it wasn't fair.
Andrew, you are correct.
When I watched it, I wondered, have you lived in the same country as everybody else for the last 30 years? It was a straw man that you created.
Andrew,
a total straw man.
You can
appreciate this is delusion talking.
Every Black person had the same position.
You can appreciate where you live. You can love where you live, and you can honestly diagnose a terrible, terrible illness that has lived in this beautiful place that you call home and love, that you believe has metastasized into a cancer that...
I love how he called it an illness and metastasized. I love how he called it an illness and how it's metastasizing like a disease, because it might be a disease. It's for sure illness. It might be a disease. If they say that addiction is a disease, then certainly racism is a disease.
Can kill the very thing that you believe in so deeply about this country. To improve that place and make it into the country that it stated it was in its founding documents is the duty of everybody who lives here. So do not tell me who I am or what I believe, a motherfucker.
I'm just saying that you created...
Hey, yo. Who got mad, yo? He got mad, though.
When you go over, it's harder to...
See, that's why I say, yo, these topics do get touchy too, for real. So you gotta keep your feelings and all that stuff in check. Cause I almost had a couple outbursts like, yo, you know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? That's what it come with, because these are touchy subjects. You feel me? And I believe that because it creates so much of that reaction and that response from people people typically tend to shy away from conversations like this to avoid those type of confrontations. But like I said, this on Facts Over Feelings, we talk controversy without conflict for real. We're going to talk about it respectfully, and you know what I'm saying? We can disagree or agree, whatever, respectfully, all the same.
But let's talk about solutions. Lisa, I'll start with you. What is the future? How do we heal a country that has a really difficult time dealing with this, as we see from 4 people that I think like and respect each other and yet still can't have a conversation?
I think the first thing that we need to understand is that all of us white people have a responsibility to engage in these conversations regularly.
But when it gets hot like this, what do you do? How do you back out of that and remind everybody,
That's
like,
a good
hey,
question.
let's take a breath.
That's a good question.
We're all, I think we're all decent, good-hearted people who are trying to do the right thing. We differ in how to do it.
Yes, I think that we have to know that we have to hold people accountable, but we also have to hold them with grace and with compassion, and we have to do each of them.
You know, to Lisa's point, I think at the individual level, there are things we can do. At the big level, what I think is that a lot of racism, when you strip it away, it's about someone trying to take my resources, and status is a resource. We need something akin to a New Deal, to something to a Marshall Plan. We basically, instead of building another B-1 bomber or another carrier, basically we invest in our infrastructure, schools, bridges. I mean, the list is very, very long.
Right. Andrew, I would think that's something actually that might appeal to you in terms of rebuilding infrastructure and things, because that's not based on it, but it's rebuilding areas that are entrenched in poverty and those things.
It can be, absolutely, yes. But I'm sorry to say, I think just white people talking about this endlessly is not going to help actual Black Americans who would deal with it. I have certain ideas about that. I think we need to focus intensely on young education.
So this is one of the other things I agree with him on, because I mean, yeah, to agree, he right. But see, I lean towards communication as well too. I'm huge on communication, because when you're communicating, you're not fighting. So at least you're not fighting. You never heard someone have a conversation while they're in a full-blown fist fight. It doesn't happen. It's either you fighting or you communicating. And while you're communicating, you're not fighting. So that's why, even if you're arguing and screaming and stuff, I much rather prefer that than the physical altercations. Because at least you're talking. So I kind of agree with him on that. But yeah, we need to intensely focus on education. Yeah, this little spurt, this little quick spurt, I agree with him on this.
I think education is crucial. I think figuring out a way to help Black kids have a stable family. The truth is,
that was the big one. We talking about, should white people be able to speak on Black people issues? Man, come on, man. Why can't they? Don't Black people speak on white people issues with no problem? The problem is white people scared. That's a fact. White people scared to talk about Black people and go on camera like I'm talking now. They scared. That's why they only have these conversations behind closed doors. And you dummies that be trying to cancel them, y'all dumb. You dumb. This cancel culture, I don't like it. I want nothing to do with it. Cancel somebody because I don't care if it was freaking Vladimir Putin. He got a right to his own damn opinion too.
Yes,
it's true. If you have a two-parent married home, you're going to
say something to you, Andrew.
You really are.
I didn't grow up in a stable family. I grew up in a single-parent family.
Well, neither did.
And so,
I'm just telling you the data. The data.
And you see how he's trying to see. That's why I would give him pushback on that, because he grew up as a white man in a single person family. It's everything is all good. Hell no, it's not good. The Black family is not good. We'll talk about that later. That's another show. That'll be a show for shows, and we could talk about this all day long. We gonna get into that too. But he's right.
Is that 30% of African Americans don't have this. It's the biggest factor in getting people into college and succeeding in life. And if you ignore it, we're going to let these Black kids down.
No, I think, Andrew, I mean, what I'm hearing is like the pathology of the Black family. That was the line. It wasn't the black family. It was the structures. You know, in the 80s, it was crack. It's disinvestment. It's white flight. Family stability, there's an element of economic stability.
Now, they are both arguing different wings on the same bird. I mean, yeah, there was crack. Yeah, there was stuff, other government programs and things that was going on that had systemic oppression. Even that's when the prison industrial complex started, and you know, they still had policies put into place with loans and stuff like that that was still impacting the black family. But freaking feminism is what destroyed the black family. The black family was fine during slavery. All throughout slavery, all throughout Jim Crow, it wasn't up until feminism. That's a fact.
Stability and family stability. And like that's lost in your conversation.
I feel like your defensiveness and the tropes that you use about the black family being the cause of entrenched poverty in that community ignores why those families.
That's what I disagree with. The black people aren't the cause of our own poverty. Nobody asked to be in poverty. Nobody asked to be in poverty. Nobody asked to be put at a handicap, at a disadvantage. Nobody asked to be born in a single family home. Nobody asked to be born on this earth, period. So I don't like all the sympathizing, the over sympathizing and trying to say, oh, well, there was crack and all that. Yeah, there was crack, but then there was the black family. And prior to 1965, 85% of black people grew up in two-parent households with their mom and dad and stuff like that. A whole lot's changed since then. I wonder what was it?
Families are broken up in the first place, and that's mass incarceration, and that we view the crack epidemic, and that's the economic opportunity over generations that was defined. So you keep trying to remove things from their historical bearings, and I just think that's
no.
If you can't diagnose the problem, you can't fix it.
We need to think about how we help the family restructure itself, because it's key.
Let's boil it down.
I agree with that. The family is the key. Now, with that being said, right there, for real, I'm about to end this live. We're not about to go over all of this information. Well, it's look like it says only 4 minutes left. Let's go and see how much more we're gonna play.
Down then. Why do you think the family got that way?
Because I do think it wasn't marriage became less important. Sex outside of marriage came more for all of us.
But
And
you're
now
not
we're seeing
talking
the same
about all of
happening
us,
with white
Andrew.
families.
Do you hear the crowd? Just wow, like he's talking on the sides. Like, see, me, I'm a person. I like to look at things objectively and not subjectively, because the truth doesn't have any feelings. And what he's saying is facts. Right now, what he's saying is freaking facts. And what the other guy is saying is whacked out. Yeah, there was crack and all that. It was the 3 strike signal to drugs with Nancy Reagan and all of them. Yeah, there was segregation with the pools, and black kids couldn't get in the public pools and all that stuff. And then when they made them public, they stopped making them public. When they started integrating so that you had to have a membership, now you had to have money, which they knew black people didn't have enough money to join certain programs like that, which is why black people disproportionately are affected by drownings, because most black people don't know how to swim. But racism don't exist.
You're talking about.
No, but we also.
You're talking about.
What I'm saying is that when you look at white
the black
families
community.
today, you see the same thing.
Oh, so you're upset about that as well?
Of course I am. I'm not blaming them. This is a family question. Why don't black people going to do better if your parents stay at home and take care of you until you leave home? It's just a fact.
How are you supposed to do that when you work a low-income job and you don't have childcare?
Well, it's really tough, which is why we need to address that. Absolutely.
But that's what we just talked about.
Of course we do, and that's important. I agree. I would spend more on that. I'd spend more on schooling. I would spend more on childcare. But I do not think you can dismiss culture.
No, see, hold on. See, look. If we talking about family, why in the duck would you need some god daggone child care if the daggone father is making enough money, is earning a livable wage to take care of a parent, take care of a household. But see, today's society is not set up for a single income. So now both parents have to be removed from the home, which is in the child care system. And that's why children are the way that they are. So even if mom and dad were in the home, they work at least 8 hours out the day, and you go to school, and it's just not all that time in the world to spend with your child. So the family dichotomy still exists. It's still broken. That is still messed up, because the first teachers, the ones that teach the structure and all this stuff, are the mothers. So when these children don't have their mothers, and after 6 weeks they got to go back to work so they can make sure they pay the bills, yeah, it's a family issue.
So that's the point that I'm getting to, Andrew, which I think you've been dodging around. What do you mean by culture?
I mean a culture in which the family unit is not as strong as it might be, and in which the sense of making it in America is regarded as something that might not be.
You're not talking about everybody.
Source of a lot of our problems.
You're talking about black people. But why do you think you seem to feel like somehow black culture is uniquely destructive to family? Why?
I don't, to be honest with you, I'm just telling you that's what is the truth.
You want to know why, Mr. White Man? You want to know why, Mr. White Man? It's because of feminism. Thank you. There you go. That's why, Mr. White Man. We was fine doing Jim Crow. We was fine doing slavery. You want to know why, Mr. White Man? It was feminism. That's why, Mr. White Man.
30% are still born out of wedlock. Only born out of wedlock. I mean, it's a complicated question.
Well, that's why I'm asking you to explain it. Tell me.
It's also a function of, well, I think it's a function of social conservatism losing its grip in African American communities. In the 1930s, the family retention rate, the marriage rate, was, I think, in the 80s, 80%. If it was 80% in Harlem in 1928, and it's only 30% now, we need to get it back to where it was, to have a better chance for kids, for black kids to succeed. That's what I'm talking about.
Because you care about black kids.
That's so we'll look into that. And we'll get there. But people in those communities want a better quality of life. Whatever we have to do to get there for them to attain quality of life. It's not about broken marriage, please. It's about how do we get people to have the quality of life that we all as Americans deserve. I think that we can all agree on. And what a wonderful moment of kumbaya at the end. I've appreciated everyone taking the time to do this. Boy, has it pointed out some fault lines we've got to recap.
All right, that's it. That's all I'm gonna play of that too. I appreciate everybody that was able to view this under the sound of my voice. The main thing I wanted to stress is that as the title presents, should white people be able to speak on black issues? And also, should black people be able to speak on white issues? The reason why I put the black people on able to speak on white issues last is because black people already speak about white issues. We've been dealing with white people and white issues since coming to this country as slaves and stuff like that. And also Native Americans dealing with them when they were already here and having their lands raped and pillaged and stuff like that, and taken away from them. So, of course, black people will speak on white issues. I've gave you numerous examples. There are tons of black people that come on TED Talks and stuff like that, and they talk about white people issues on a white person platform. TED Talks is owned by two white men. I can't remember their names right now. One of the guys died. The other guy's still living. They old as heck, but they yet and still are white men, which allow black people to use their platform to talk about white people and white people issues. Like I said, we had Farrakhan. He went to plenty of shows on plenty of white people platforms since a long time, since Harazad Ali and stuff like that. Those people been talking to white people on white people platforms about white people. But the thing is, I don't know too many. I was trying to find videos where black people had white people on there to talk about black people issues. Maybe white people don't talk about black people issues because we don't give them a platform. Is that why? or do white people not talk about black people issues because they feel ashamed or they feel some type of guilt because in some way, shape, and form they are responsible for it, or could it be just because they lack accountability? They don't want to acknowledge it. They just don't want to hear it or don't want to deal with it. They want to be in denial and in delusion. But moral of the story is that yeah, black people we talk about white people issues. White people do not talk about black people issues. But we need to grow some thick skin, and we need to grow some thick skin and just let people you know what I'm saying, express their opinions, especially if those opinions are without malice. Yeah, and that's my view. I definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in. Like I said, appreciate you for tuning in. I appreciate you for watching the stream. If you could like and share, and you know, if you could like and share and things like that, and definitely subscribe, is free. Hit the Cash App and all that stuff. It's great to be appreciated. Yo, these shows are only going to get better, for real. They only going to get better. Appreciate everything, everybody for coming out. That's what it is. Peace.